Welcome back to the San Diego Automotive Museum's What's Under the Tarp episodes. I'm Pandora Paul. I'm the Education Director and the Curator at the San Diego Automotive Museum. This is the assistant, Stephen Hansen. He's out here at our storage facility. Got a number of different vehicles out here from very different eras. And we're helping you guess what's under the tarp. All right, so check this out. Take a look at the confirmation you got here. There are some hints of the type of body style you got here. Maybe. You know, could be closed car, could be open. Guess in the comments below, what do you think is under this tarp? Nice and boxy in design, very almost modular, you might say. Right on. Take a look at those beautiful lines on the vehicle. Put your guesses below. I would like someone, at least one person, to put a guess down there below. And it was instrumental in certain things. So let's take a look.
Hooked onto the wipers there.
Take a look at this beautiful object. Now, in some cases, people are making replicas. This is not a replica vehicle. It is 100% U.S. military. The Jeep, some people argue the Jeep is one of the reasons why we won the war. Because it was able to get through a lot of stuff and get through a lot of terrain.
You know, Willys went through different evolutions. Then it was owned by Kaiser
right,
and all that. So,
yeah.
so this is a Kaiser Willys built Jeep.
Yes.
This is a 1964. Now, unlike back in the days of Detroit with new models and everything, this is a body style that didn't change a lot over the years.
Right.
This is the second generation design that happened for the military Jeep after World War II. So the main difference between this and the original World War II Jeep is the original World War II Jeep, the fenders just stuck straight out. This adds this downward curve to the front.
The grill also changed too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it went from just a flat stamp to this more molded look. So this body style, again, the second post-World War II generation, was built from 1952 all the way to 1971, with essentially no changes other than minor modifications. So, you know, almost 20 years
right.
in the same body style.
I'd say this is, I don't know, kind of one of the first off-road vehicles, meant to be off-road, meant to handle terrain.
And you can see, meant for versatility. You know, how many cars can you just open a couple of drains on the floor and just hose the whole inside of the car out, and then your interior is clean? I think that would be handy today, don't you?
I do.
Right.
That would be great.
But that's what you could do with this vehicle. I've done it myself to this vehicle. So,
awesome.
and you can see, it's for ruggedness. Everything is for ruggedness. This is thick canvas, and this is very authentic. You know, thick canvas on the seats that'll last a very long time. You had other utility items, like you had your axe here, you know, if needed, and and there were other items that could be added on. And
well, let's look at how this thing runs, shall we? I mean, as far as the engine.
Yeah, no fancy hood releases in the car or anything, just a couple of rugged latches to pull off. And then you'll notice, to make sure the hood stays up, we've got this that goes into a latch up there on the windshield.
Nice.
So we currently have the carburetor apart because what we're finding with all our cars, the formulation for modern fuel is great for lower emissions and everything, but it's terrible for things like carburetors because the fuel tends to age very quickly.
Right.
So if a vehicle is sitting, it used to be if a vehicle was sitting a few years you had a problem. Now a few months or even less you can have a problem.
Right.
And that's what we ran into on this. So we've got to clean out the carburetor just because of some contaminants that have built up from the fuel. So another key thing about this Marine Corps version of the Jeep is these were made to be able to ford deep water, and they did that by attaching a snorkel to the air intake, which ran through this slot in the hood and stuck up in the air. So the engine itself and the electrical system are waterproofed, so the entire vehicle up to this level could be underwater and the vehicle would still run. And the evidence of that is, look at this shielding. These are the spark plug wires, but they have rubber sheathing over this waterproof metal sheathing. So again, the whole engine was waterproofed to be able to essentially be underwater. So this is an overhead valve 4-cylinder engine. Not a powerhouse necessarily, but powerful enough for what it needed to do. And this vehicle actually drives on the freeway with more aplomb than you would expect. Another thing to pay attention to on this vehicle is the fact that it has a 24-volt electrical system.
That just blows my mind.
When everything at this time was 12 volt in the civilian world. But in the military world, all of the large vehicles, the tanks, the half tracks, the big dual axle transport, they were all 24 volt vehicles.
Right.
So this was 24 volt to be compatible with those vehicles, because there were times when this vehicle would just be sitting still and running for hours to provide power for some other vehicle. And that's why you can see here, you look at the size of this generator.
Wow, that's
this is
huge.
about 3 times the size of what a normal civilian 12 volt generator would be.
Right.
But that's, again, a lot of what these vehicles didn't necessarily happen while they were driving. It happened while they were sitting, and they provided, again, a power supply for other things.
Yeah, I'd say the Jeep was one heck of a support vehicle, honestly.
Oh, exactly.
On that last there.
So speaking of the 24 volts, you can see here are the two 12 volt batteries connected in series to make 24 volts.
Nice.
So the wonderful gentleman who donated this to us within the last year, completely restored, I really respect the fact that he kept it to the original 24 volt configuration, and really did everything right on the vehicle.
That's amazing. Another cool thing, and you can fold down the mirror, can't you?
Oh yes, yeah, the windshield folds down.
The windshield, I can't talk anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it comes down. This whole thing goes up there.
And you have wipers that are vacuum operated, but if that fails, you have a handle.
Oh, nice. Hand wash.
Because they frequently did fail, or you didn't have enough vacuum at the time and everything else. So it's very common to manually operate the windshield wiper. After 1957, before 57, they were both Army and Marine Corps. After 57, they were pretty much only building the Marine Corps version.
Okay.
And there were some differences in the Marine Corps version. One of them was a larger fuel tank. than the Army version had. And you can see that's why the seat is higher up than the passenger seat, is because again it was a larger capacity tank, which is just right here under the, and you can see you have in the military style different warnings, which is caution, do not overfill, allow for expansion. They're talking about this giant fuel filler. If you get it all the way up to the brim, you know, and it gets hot, you're going to lose fuel out. So that's why they're telling you not to do that. And again, it may be under pressure from heat expansion, so it's telling you open slowly. And you have full instrumentation in here, essentially. You know, oil pressure, temperature, battery voltage,
so
charging condition. Right.
That's your gears.
Yeah, you have a 3-speed manual transmission, and then you have, the transmission has 2 ranges, a low range for climbing and a high range. So one of the levers puts you between the low range and the high range. Then the other lever engages the 4-wheel drive.
Outstanding.
And all the you know, the specifications in there. Nobody was worried about aesthetics. It was functionality. So they're just there on the dash.
Yeah.
And you have a, for those unlucky enough to ride in the back, you have a rear seat here.
Oh, that looks very comfortable.
Yeah, which is
luxury.
A little harsh.
Yeah, boy, that's gonna.
Now, at times there were cushions on these, but then other times there weren't.
Right.
But particularly where the seat is positioned, you're going to be doing a lot of bouncing up and down.
Yeah, because your legs are going to be up here.
So, not the most comfortable environment, but comfort was far from the goal.
Right.
But everything feels like it's going to last forever on one of these. Well, the gauge of the metal is something just kind of unheard of today.
Yeah, exactly. So the Jeep was a wonder. It helped the troops on so many different, different fields of battle and eras. It's definitely worth knowing about and knowing how much went into them. You should watch, if you get a chance, watch the videos that people talk about when they were test driving these things. Like the terrain, it's hysterical, the stuff that they do to make sure that the car was going to make it over everything that it was supposed to. But thanks again for joining us here at the video for What's Under the Tarp from the San Diego Automotive Museum, as we have our trolley going by again. I'm going to say goodbye from Pandora at the museum. This is Steve.
Good seeing you.
Come see us again here at What's Under the Tarp.